Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by Nate Weitzer. He's on the East Coast. And we've got play-up props for the two NBA Cup games that we're looking at here on Wednesday. Got the Hawks and Knicks. Also got those Dubs and the Rockets. So definitely want to make sure to subscribe to that page and continue to follow along because we also have best bets up in a separate episode and bringing both of those to you each and every weekday moving forward. Nate, let's go ahead and just get right into it, my man. What's your first NBA play-up prop for tonight?
Yeah, I got Mikal Bridges, and I know you like him too, based on your video last night. And yeah, I mean, I'll go just the points. 16.5 is minus 120 you can still find, but I think you can also put a half unit on him to hit 3 threes at plus money. Hopefully both come home, but if you get just the threes, then you're pretty much covered here on the stake of the points. But a high percentage of his shots are coming on catch and shoot threes. And that is a big deal against Atlanta, which is the worst team guarding spot up threes and threes in general, and threes against small forwards. And they're second actually in that department. Actually, the worst team giving up threes to small forwards is the New Orleans Pelicans. Mikal Bridges just went 7 for 12 against them with 31 points. And it's more importantly that's giving him confidence. He is finding his rhythm, finding his spots in this new system. Playing off Jalen Brunson and Cat much more efficiently. And you look at just like in November, he was shooting 30% on spot up threes, only getting 1.7 per game. So just not even in the right spot to get the attempts. So far in December, 5 games, 50% on the spot ups, averaging 3.6 makes per game. The attempts are also up to about 8.4 in that span. He's averaging 22.5 points. He's going to be out there for a ton of minutes regardless. He's going to be asked to do some playmaking as well because we know OG Anunoby is not really that. So it's kind of Mikal as the third playmaker. I mean, he's third in potential assists, actually leads the team in secondary assists, and has the highest paint touch field goal percentage in these last 5 games. Again, after the Knicks came home from their West Coast trip. And he's going to be very comfortable against the Hawks. I mean, we saw when he was the man with the Nets, 6 games, 32.7 points, though, draining threes to the tune of 3.3 per game. And he's getting just as many attempts now as the third option, essentially. So I just think the threes are a pretty good bet here for plus money as the reason he would get 17 points.
Yep. I think Mikal Bridges is one of those dudes for those fantasy basketball players out there that is probably at the point in time where you can still, I mean, you might have missed the boat on being able to get buy low on him, to be honest, because we knew it was going to take at least a second to figure out how to play with all these dudes. And to be clear, like you mentioned, like Mikal and Cat are back in there. You talked about that in best bets where, Jalen Brunson has a running mate now. He's got running mates. Like he didn't even have OG last year. Yes, he's got Mikal. He's got Cat. That's great. He didn't even have OG really last year. So now he's got 3 legit new weapons to work with. And Mikal is slightly is moving his way above OG in terms of the pecking order on offense. I would fully agree with that. OG's still playing well, but what we're seeing from OG this year is him going down low a lot more. Almost half his points come inside the paint, as opposed to Mikal, whose all his points are coming off the spot up from far away. Not to mention he played 47 minutes against the Charlotte Hornets the other night. Against the Charlotte Hornets. Tibbs, you're a psycho, man. We're never gonna make it to the playoffs. I love Mikal in this game though, and I love the threes look for plus money. That's great. So yeah, I think both of those are good plays there. Let me stick in this game and go under for CC Clint Capella, and this is just for the rebounds, under 9.5 on the boards. That opened nicely and is bet down, but I think this is still worth it at 9.5 or minus 140. If you can only get this at 8.5 and try to go under that, it's a lot scarier for sure. I think 8 is about where I'd cut it off, but if you can get that for plus money at the under 8.5, I think you still have a look there. I think the injury news is important, but JJ looks like he's going to play. You think Jalen Johnson's going to be in there? I would agree that he sat out against the Nuggets in a game that they completely just threw and lost badly. That would be for this game, right? So he could play in this one. And he's always going to hinder the Clint Capella rebounds. He's been a very, very good rebounder this season. So here's the thing about Clint. He had 12 rebound chances and 6 boards in 28 minutes versus this team last game. He's played 28 plus minutes 4 times this season. He's gone under in 3 of 4. Except for against the Knicks, who limit centers to the fewest rebounds per game. Combined, centers aren't even getting 13 boards per game against this team. And we've seen Clint get 13 boards a couple times this season by himself, not to mention that Onyeka Okongwu is going to be coming in for some of those minutes as well. Now, I think Clint's minutes are going to stay high because he is the best option to defend Karl Anthony Towns. But part of the reason that teams are not able to rebound, or centers are not able to rebound against the Knicks, is not just because Cat is second in the league in rebounds per game and is dominating the rebound chances that he gets, but it's also because he's shooting threes, and he's not only shooting threes, he's playing as a sort of facilitating big man, similar to how we saw iHeart play last year around the free throw line at times and finding passers, or finding guys with passes to the wing, opposite and same side. So, like, yeah, I think a lot of the stuff for Clint Capella is just going to be being out of position, not to mention when he's in position and he's actually guarding Cat, who is taking, the second most shots on the team, and actually over the last 10 has taken the most shots on the team. In those situations, you're not in the best position to get the rebound. You're guarding the guy who's either driving to the rim or shooting the three. So I do think that's going to be the problem for Clint in this one. If he's going to be the main guy on him, then we're good to go. So yeah, I love the under for Clint in this one, despite that I still think he's going to play like 26 minutes in this game.
Yeah, I see your logic, but it's my turn to feel like I'm scared of this one. When a guy has 10 rebounds in 19 minutes with foul trouble in his last game, it's just like they can just fall to him very quickly. I mean, he does go way under this sometimes, like you said, if Quinn Snyder wants to go with more Okongwu, but I think he's done a pretty good job defensively on Cat. At the same time, where he's going to be defensively is on the perimeter at times and dealing with Cat and not getting the rebound necessarily. So it's not like he'll get a lot of easy chances. I would just worry that if he does get the minutes, that he'll get enough to fall to him. The Hawks are playing a little bit better defense, so I lean under, and therefore I think more rebound chances in general. But curious what you think of my take on the Rockets here on Tari Eason, over 17.5 points in rebounds. Because I think, look, the Rockets are going to be playing him a lot more straight off the bat. Like, Dylan Brooks is a big issue for your offense, and that I would worry about if I'm Steve Kerr. If I'm Ime. And, he has an 89 offensive rating in these two against the Warriors, minus 22. We talked about how that game flipped completely the first matchup when they played Eason and Amen Thompson more than those guys. Jalen Green, who you're also fading, Alpi, who you could consider fading on the points and rebounds, is kind of correlated play here. And just assuming that Ime is going to be pushing the buttons with the bench guys. Tari Eason was on fire in that first game. He's now averaged 24 and 10.5 with 5.5 stocks against this Dubs team, pretty much just changing the game. As soon as he gets in there, he went on record afterward talking about how much he wants to beat this team, how badly he wants it. He's a good defensive matchup for Kuminga, who killed them in the last two as well. I don't know, why you need Dylan Brooks out there otherwise. To chase Buddy Hield. He can't guard Steph. He's all right on Kuminga, but he just ruins your offense. So if I'm Ime, I think you probably cut him out a little bit. Maybe you want to fade his points at 12.5 as well. Just generally looking at some unders here for the Rockets starting lineup and overs for their bench guys. Because Eason, in his last three in general, 25 minutes a game, 12 points per game. He has 24 rebounds in 25 minutes. So talk about just a high rate of getting his hands on the ball. So if his minutes spike at all, that's great. And at home, he is a guy who thrives off the energy. 122 offensive rating, 97 defensive rating at home. That leads to a plus 113 on the season. So I just have a hard time seeing how he'd be off the floor for much in this game. I think he's going to be a huge part of the Rockets' success.
It's all volume. It's all minutes and volume for a bet like this. And if you are projecting that's going to be the matchup because you're saying Ime knows what he's doing and the numbers tell him to play Tari Eason in this matchup. I mean, he's never scared to just play who he needs to play, but that's also part of what scares me about ever taking Houston Rockets players is just is it going to be Tari tonight? Or are you going to keep Jabari Smith in there? And I would hope that you have them both to the point that we made in the best bets video that they're playing, basically just play three power forwards. That's what the Dubs are doing. They're not playing any centers. So why do you really need Şengün out there? And Dylan Brooks, it's crazy that he's so worthless against this team when you would think that his spot up shooting would allow him to be at least productive on offense, but he has terrible numbers against this team, and he always has, except for the random nights of shooting that he kind of goes off. So yeah, I agree with all that. I considered a fade for Dylan Brooks, but he's like their number one dude taking the most spot up shots on the starting lineup anyway, alongside Jabari Smith. So it's kind of like that should be the shot that
the opponent is
allowing it.
That. Yeah.
100%. And the Dubs will be doing the same thing. And it's just the random, like if he gets hot game that you're willing to sort of take on. But either way, for Tari Eason, if he gets 25 minutes, man, we're good to go. So let's just give him the 25 that he deserves at least. Similar concept here for Jonathan Kuminga, who I'm taking at over 4.5 boards. That has gotten juiced down. And I will tell you, if you want to take over 20.5 points and rebounds for Kuminga, I think that's a good pivot if you can't get the 4.5 boards over without having to juice it down to like minus 160. So for Kuminga, like, look, it's going to catch everyone's eye. I know I'm going to be getting questions today on the social medias about from people being like, "Hey, what do you think about Jonathan Kuminga?" Or what? And I'm going to be like, "Yes, I know that you're asking me that because his hit rate is high, and a lot of new bettors are going to come in and be like, look at the hit rate against this team and all that, and that's fine. But the hit rate is there for a reason. That's not why I'm betting this. The hit rate is high for him because he's the perfect type of player against this squad to make sure that he's there to defend a number of different guys, including Jalen Green, which he's been the primary defender on Jalen Green for half the minutes this season that the Rockets and the Dubs have played each other. So I think his minutes will stay high. The other thing is, I just want to get this out there that like I live in the Bay Area, so I'm used to cover this team, pretty plugged into what's going on. Jonathan Kuminga is finally been dubbed the future. Like so many of us JK truthers out here have been like, when is Steve Kerr going to stop having it out for this guy, a la like Jaden Ivey in Detroit? Like, why are we not giving these clear-cut better players than the guys that are getting minutes? Why aren't they getting the minutes? He's the only dude who can play above the rim for this team, and yet he doesn't get any minutes. He's finally getting the minutes. He's at 29 at least in the last 4. He's been inserted into the starting lineup. He has been knighted by Draymond Green as someone that Draymond's like, yeah, you can have my starting spot, right? Look at the maturity on grizzled old gray Draymond. He's like, let's get JK out there. He's the future of this franchise and the future of this season. They know they need him. So the minutes are going to be at 28 plus moving forward. He's moved into the echelon of Wiggins and Steph, who are really the only two that you can feel like you're going to get 30 plus minutes from each night. Well, now we can throw JK into the 28 to 32 minute club on the Dubs, which is a very select club because they played 97 dudes on their team. But we're also going to have no Moses Moody. He also got a bit of time defending both Fred VanVleet and Jalen Green in the first 2 games as well. A very crucial sort of wing player for them, who is also a very good rebounder. So yeah, I like him in here. He's going to be out there a lot occasionally with Kevon Looney, but also a little bit with Draymond Green and Wiggs, and he'll be one of the better rebounders on the floor for them. So for him to get 5 when he's averaging 10 rebound chances per game in the games where he plays at least 25 plus minutes. And that's what I was talking about at the top here. This is how he's like our Eason in that sense. If he plays 25 plus this season, he's over in 8 of 12. If you add the games that he's playing with Steph Curry, where he's not asked to do as much on offense, right? And you mentioned that as well. Then he's at 5 a game, over in 6 of 7 this season, playing 25 plus minutes with Wardell, Stephen Curry on the floor. That's what we're going to see tonight. So I'm going to take him for the 5 boards, or if you like it, the 20.5 PR.
Yeah, I mean, he could cruise over this for sure if he gets the minutes. Like you're saying, though, I mean, you are on top of the Dubs here, and it's just the fit, I think, with the Steph-centric offense. So it's a question of, like, yeah, how long is Steph going to be at the height of his powers? Do we move on? Would you just showcase what Kuminga can do and try to flip him, or is he the future, after this guy is done? But, this is one game here, and it's against an athletic team that we expect to go with their athletes more. And I think the Warriors will have to respond in kind. I think Andrew Wiggins being out would also be huge here.
I think he's in. He's ruled in. It was a little bit weird. He was still questionable on some reports, but also news came out of the Dubs camp that he was good to go in this game. I suppose there's like a slim chance that he doesn't play, but he's definitely on the probable course right now. And even if he's in, though, he's a bit more of a perimeter player when he's out there with JK, when the two of them are on the floor at the same time this season per 36 minutes. Why do I know this? Jonathan Kuminga has about 8 boards per 36 when he's on the floor with Wiggs, and Wiggs is at about 6.5, or 5.5 rather. But either way, that is your Dubs corner for today and all the time we have in the 2 games that we've got here, right, for Wednesday. So hopefully you guys are following along and subscribe to that page. We've also got best bets up in a separate one. I brought you 2 parlays, or 1 parlay and another player prop. I cheated today on best bets because we've only got 2 games, but make sure you check that one out. And until we see you next, happy betting.